The evening felt wrong. Not silent, not peaceful, but heavy, as if something invisible was pressing down on the world. Arif noticed it the moment he stepped onto the road. This was a path he had walked his entire life. Every tree, every turn, every broken stone, he knew them all. And yet today, it felt unfamiliar, like he had stepped into a place that only looked like home. The wind moved slowly, brushing past his face. Cold, colder than it should have been. He rubbed his hands together, trying to shake off the feeling. "It's just the weather," he muttered, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. Something was different. Something was waiting. He kept walking. His footsteps echoed slightly louder than usual. The sound didn't feel right. It lingered too long, as if the road was listening. Then, he stopped, because at the end of the road, there was something. A shape. Dark. Still. A house. Arif frowned. His mind immediately rejected what he was seeing. No, that's not possible, because that house had never been there before. Not yesterday, not last week, not ever. He would have noticed. Everyone would have noticed. And yet, there it stood, old, silent, watching him. The walls were worn and dark, covered in stains that looked almost like shadows frozen in place. The windows were empty, not just dark, empty, as if something inside had taken the light and never gave it back. Arif felt his chest tighten. Every instinct told him the same thing. Leave, turn around, go home, forget this place exists. But he didn't move, because something else had already taken control. Curiosity. Slow, quiet, dangerous curiosity. He took a step forward, then another. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground itself resisted him. Or maybe something ahead was pulling him in. The closer he got, the quieter everything became. The wind faded, the trees stopped moving, even the distant sounds of the village disappeared, until there was nothing left except him and the house. His heartbeat grew louder. Thump, thump, thump. It echoed in his ears, too loud, too clear. Arif reached the gate. Rust covered its surface, old, decaying. It looked like it hadn't moved in years. He didn't need to, because suddenly, creak. The gate moved, slowly, on its own. Arif froze instantly. His body refused to move. His breath stopped. There was no wind, no one behind him, nothing around him. And yet, the gate opened, inviting him, or warning him. He couldn't tell which. "It's just old," he whispered, but the words felt weak, empty, like even he didn't believe them. Still, he stepped inside. The moment his foot crossed the gate, the air changed. Colder, heavier, unnatural. It felt like stepping into a different world. The house loomed in front of him now, closer, larger, more real. The door was slightly open, just enough to see darkness inside, a thin line of black. Arif stared at it. Something about that darkness felt wrong, not empty, but alive. And then he heard it, a whisper, soft, barely there. He leaned forward slightly. "Hello?" he called. No response, only silence. He exhaled slowly. "I'm imagining things." But then the whisper came again, clearer, closer. "Come inside." Arif's eyes widened. That wasn't his imagination, that was real. Something inside the house was calling him. His body tensed, every instinct screamed, "Run! Leave now! Don't look back!" But he didn't move, because curiosity had already taken control. Slowly, he reached for the door. His hand trembled slightly. The wood felt cold, too cold, like it had never felt sunlight. He pushed. The door creaked open. The sound echoed unnaturally through the space inside, loud, too loud, like it wanted to be heard. Arif stepped in. Dust filled the air. The smell of something old, forgotten, surrounded him. The floor creaked under his feet, each step sounding louder than it should. The walls were cracked, dark stains stretched across them, and the shadows, they didn't stay still. They shifted, moved, just slightly when he wasn't looking directly at them. Closer. The whisper again, now clearer, stronger, calling him deeper. Arif swallowed, his throat dry, his hands shaking now slightly, but still he walked forward, step by step. The hallway stretched ahead, longer than it should be. The door behind him closed, on its own. He turned quickly, heart racing, but it was too late. The exit was gone. Only darkness remained. Keep going, the whisper insisted. Arif turned slowly. At the end of the hallway, he saw it. A door, different from the others, old, wooden, and faintly glowing. A soft light leaking from its edges. Arif stared at it, his breathing uneven now. That must be it, he whispered. He didn't know why, but he felt it. That door was waiting for him. He walked forward, each step echoing loudly, too loudly, as if the house itself was listening, watching, waiting. The whisper grew louder. Open it. His hand shook as he reached out, his fingers inches away from the handle. And then he stopped, because suddenly the whisper changed, the tone shifted, no longer inviting, no longer calling. Now it sounded afraid. Don't open it. His heart pounded violently. His mind screamed at him to listen, to step back, to run. But his hand didn't move away, because something else, something deeper, was pulling him forward. And slowly, he touched the handle. Arif's fingers rested on the cold metal handle. For a moment, everything stopped. The whisper that had filled the hallway disappeared. The air grew still, heavy, waiting. His heart pounded in his chest, loud, violent, uncontrolled. He could hear it echoing in his ears. Thump, thump, thump. Don't open it. The warning still lingered in his mind, faint, weak, like something far away, something losing its strength. But the other voice, the one that called him, that voice was stronger, closer, pulling him in. Open it. Arif's grip tightened. His breath shook. I just need to see, he whispered, as if saying it out loud would make it safe, as if this was just curiosity, nothing more. But deep down, he knew. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was something else, something he couldn't control. Slowly, he pushed the handle down. Click. The sound echoed unnaturally through the hallway, too loud, too sharp, like a signal, like something had been waiting for that exact moment. The door opened. Not quickly, not suddenly, but slowly, painfully slowly. Creak! The sound stretched, twisted, unnatural. Arif stepped back slightly, his body reacting before his mind could, because what was behind the door wasn't darkness, it was worse. There was nothing. No wall, no room, no floor, just a strange, endless void. And yet, it wasn't empty. It felt alive, watching him, breathing, waiting. A cold wind rushed out from inside, not like normal air. It carried something with it. a feeling, a presence. Arif felt it wrap around him, crawl across his skin, sink into his chest. He should have stepped back, closed the door, run. But he didn't, because the moment he looked into that void, something inside him changed. The fear didn't disappear, but it became distant, muted, like it no longer mattered, because something stronger replaced it. A need, a pull, a command. Come. The whisper returned, now clearer than ever, not from the hallway, not from behind him, but from inside the door, calling him, inviting him. Arif took a step forward. His foot crossed the threshold, and the moment it did, the world disappeared. There was no transition, no movement, no time to react. 1 second, he stood in the hallway. The next, he was somewhere else, completely. The air changed instantly, colder, thicker, harder to breathe. Arif stumbled slightly, his balance gone for a moment. He looked around and his entire body froze. He was standing in a corridor, long, endless, stretching beyond what his eyes could see. The walls were lined with doors, hundreds of them, no, thousands, each one different, different sizes, different colors, different shapes, some old, some new, some broken, some moving. Arif's breath became shallow. What is this place? His voice echoed, but not normally. The sound didn't fade. It repeated, softly, from different directions, as if the corridor itself was speaking back. What is this place? What is this place? What is this place? Arif turned around quickly. His heart dropped instantly. The door he came through was gone, completely gone. Only more doors remained, everywhere, endless, surrounding him.
Arif. The whisper again, but now it was everywhere. Not one voice, many, layered, overlapping, calling him from every direction. Arif. 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 He covered his ears, but it didn't help. The sound wasn't outside, it was inside his head. His breathing became faster, panic rising. "This isn't real," he whispered. "This isn't real." But the corridor didn't change. The doors didn't disappear. The voices didn't stop. Instead, one of the doors moved, slowly, right in front of him, its handle turned on its own. Click. Arif froze. The door creaked open, and inside, he saw something. A room. Familiar. Too familiar. He stepped closer without thinking, drawn in, pulled forward, and then he saw it clearly. It was his home, his childhood home, exactly as he remembered it. The same walls, the same furniture, the same light, and inside, a boy, sitting on the floor, silent, alone. Arif's chest tightened, because he recognized that boy. It was him, younger, smaller, and crying, softly, quietly, like he didn't want anyone to hear. Arif stepped back immediately. "No," his voice cracked. "That's not—" But before he could finish, the door slammed shut. Bang! The sound echoed violently through the corridor. The whispers stopped. For a moment, everything went silent. And then, another door opened, to his left, then another, to his right, then another, behind him, in front of him, everywhere doors opening, one after another. Click, creak, bang, each one revealing something different, different rooms, different moments, different pieces of his life, memories, moments he had forgotten, moments he had tried to forget, moments he wished never happened. Arif turned in circles, trying to look at everything at once, but it was too much, too fast, too overwhelming. "Stop!" he whispered, but the doors didn't listen. The voices returned, louder now, stronger. "You remember. You cannot forget. You belong here." Arif stumbled backward, his mind racing, his chest tight, his vision slightly blurred. "This isn't real," he said again, but this time he didn't believe it, because it felt real, too real. And then all the doors stopped at once, closed, silent, still. The corridor returned to its empty state, just Arif standing alone, breathing heavily. And then, from the far end of the corridor, a new sound, a step, slow, heavy, deliberate. Arif looked up and saw something, a shape, tall, dark, standing at the end of the corridor, not moving, not speaking, just watching him. Arif's entire body went cold, because somehow, without seeing its face, without hearing its voice, he knew one thing. That thing was aware of him, and it had been waiting for a long time. Arif couldn't move. His body refused to respond. At the far end of the endless corridor, that thing stood, tall, still, watching him. The air grew colder with every passing second, thicker, harder to breathe. Arif's chest rose and fell rapidly. His heartbeat pounded violently inside him. Thump, thump, thump. The sound echoed, not just inside his ears, but through the corridor itself, as if the place was listening, reacting, alive. "What are you?" His voice trembled, weak, barely audible. The figure didn't answer. It didn't move. And yet, Arif felt it getting closer. Not physically, but in a way he couldn't explain. Like its presence was expanding, filling the space, reaching toward him, slowly. The lights above flickered, once, twice, then steadied. And in that brief moment, Arif saw something impossible. The figure didn't have a face, not clearly, but where its face should have been, there were shifting shadows, moving, changing, almost forming shapes, but never staying long enough to understand. Arif took a step back, then another, his breathing uneven now, every instinct screaming at him to run, but his legs felt heavy, like something was holding him in place. "You came." The voice, deep, layered, echoing from everywhere, from the walls, from the floor, from inside his head. Arif's eyes widened. "Stay back," he shouted, but the command felt meaningless, small. The figure didn't react, didn't stop. "You opened the door," the voice continued, slow, calm, unavoidable. Arif shook his head. "I didn't know. I didn't mean—" "Everyone says that." The lights flickered again, longer this time. The corridor darkened, shadows stretching unnaturally along the walls. The doors trembled slightly, soft vibrations running through them, as if something inside each one was trying to get out. Arif turned quickly, looking for a way out, but there was none. Only doors, endless doors, and the figure still watching him. "This place," the voice whispered, "is made of you." Arif froze. His breathing slowed for a moment. "What?" "Your memories." A door behind him clicked. He turned instantly. It opened slowly. Inside, darkness at first, then a scene formed. Clear, sharp, real. Arif stepped closer, against his will. And then he saw it.
a moment from his past, a day he had tried to forget, a mistake, a decision, a regret. His hands trembled. "No," he whispered. But the figure's voice returned. "Every door, every room, every shadow belongs to you." Arif backed away from the door, his head shaking. "This isn't real." But even as he said it, another door opened, and another, all around him. Scenes spilling out, moments, voices, faces, memories, each one pulling at him, dragging him deeper. The corridor began to change. The walls stretched, twisted. The floor shifted beneath his feet. The lights dimmed further. "You cannot escape." The figure stepped forward for the first time. One step, slow, heavy. The sound echoed like a distant thunder. Arif's heart jumped, because now it was closer. Still far, but closer. He turned and ran. His feet slammed against the ground, fast, desperate. The corridor seemed endless. No matter how far he ran, it didn't end. The doors blurred past him, left,
Right. Everywhere. The whispers returned, louder, more aggressive. "Stay. Don't leave. You belong here." Arif covered his ears as he ran, but the voices didn't stop. They grew louder, closer, inside his head. "Stop!" he screamed, his voice breaking, echoing violently through the corridor. For a moment, everything went silent, completely silent. Arif slowed down, breathing heavily, his chest tight, his vision shaking, and then he noticed something. One door, different from the rest. It stood slightly open, a faint light coming from inside. Not dark, not cold, but warm, soft. Arif stared at it, his breathing slowing slightly. Hope. For the first time he felt it. Maybe that was the way out. He walked toward it slowly, carefully, watching the corridor, watching the shadows. The figure, gone, or at least not visible, but he could still feel it, watching, waiting. Arif reached the door, his hand hovered near it. The light from inside felt different, safe, familiar. He pushed it open, and inside he saw something unexpected. Not a memory, not a nightmare, but a room, simple, quiet. A small wooden table, a chair, and a window. And sunlight, real sunlight. Arif stepped inside slowly. The moment he crossed the doorway, the noise stopped. The whispers disappeared. The pressure lifted. He breathed deeply, relief flooding through him. "What is this place?" he whispered. No answer, only silence, peaceful silence. He walked further inside. The floor didn't creak. The air didn't feel heavy. Everything felt normal, too normal. And that's when he noticed the mirror on the wall, old, dusty, but clear enough. He walked toward it slowly. His reflection stared back at him, tired, pale, shaken, but alive. He exhaled. "It's over," he whispered. But the moment he said it, the reflection moved, not like him, not exactly. It smiled, slowly, unnaturally. Arif froze, his own face, but the expression wasn't his. Cold, knowing, wrong. The reflection leaned closer, from inside the mirror, and whispered, "You're not leaving." The light in the room flickered violently. The walls cracked. The warmth vanished instantly. The door behind him slammed shut. Bang! Arif spun around, heart racing again.
The room darkened rapidly. The window disappeared. The sunlight faded. The mirror shattered, and the corridor returned. The endless doors, the whispers, the cold, and at the far end, the figure, closer now, much closer. And this time, it didn't wait. It started walking toward him. The sound of footsteps echoed through the corridor. Slow, heavy, unstoppable. Arif stood frozen, his eyes locked on the figure as it moved closer. Each step it took, the corridor reacted. The walls trembled, the doors rattled, the air tightened, like the entire place was connected to it, like it was part of it. Or worse, like it was the house itself. Arif stumbled backward, his breath sharp, uneven. "No, no, no," he whispered. But the figure didn't stop. It didn't hesitate. It kept coming. "You cannot run forever," the voice echoed, deeper now, stronger, as if it no longer needed to hide. Arif turned and ran, faster than before, desperation pushing him forward. The corridor twisted again, changed. The doors began to shake violently. Some opened, some slammed shut. Some tried to pull him in. A hand, thin, dark, reaching out from one of the doors, brushed against his arm. Arif jerked away instantly, his heart pounding uncontrollably. "Stay," a voice whispered from inside the door. "Stay with us." Another hand reached out, then another, from different doors, different directions, grabbing, pulling. Arif ran faster, ignoring the pain in his legs, ignoring the burning in his chest, ignoring everything except escape. The whispers turned into voices, the voices into screams, all around him, inside him. "You can't leave. You belong here. Just like us." Arif covered his ears as he ran, but it didn't help. Nothing helped. The corridor stretched endlessly. No exit, no end. Only movement, only fear. And behind him, the footsteps, still coming, still steady, still unstoppable. Thump, thump, thump. Closer, closer, closer. Arif turned a corner suddenly and stopped. His breath caught instantly because the corridor ahead was gone, replaced by something else. A massive room, wide, endless. The walls were covered with doors, thousands of them stacked on top of each other, like layers of memories, like a maze with no escape. And in the center, something moved. Arif stepped back slowly, his eyes scanning the darkness. "What is this place?" His voice barely came out. Then the doors began to open, one by one, not slowly, not gently, but violently. Bang, bang, bang. Each door revealing something inside. Not rooms, not memories, but people, or what used to be people. Their faces pale, their eyes empty, their bodies still, but their heads turning, all at once, toward him. Arif's breath stopped. They were watching him, every single one, from every door, thousands of eyes locked onto him. "Another one," a voice echoed. Not from the figure, not from the corridor, but from them, the trapped ones. "He opened it, just like us. He can't leave." Their voices overlapped, layered, broken, distorted. Arif shook his head. "No, I'm not like you."
But even as he said it, he felt it, the truth, creeping in.
Because they had all said the same thing. Before they became this, before they were trapped. The floor beneath him shifted slightly, like something was moving under it, alive, watching, waiting. Then the figure entered the room, from behind him. Arif turned slowly, and this time it was close, too close. He could feel it, the cold, the pressure, the presence. "This place is not a prison," the figure said, its voice calmer now, almost patient. "It is a reflection." Arif's brows tightened. Of what? The figure tilted its head slightly, the shadows on its face shifting. Of you. The room reacted instantly. The doors trembled. The trapped figures moved slightly, reaching, stretching. Every fear, every regret, every choice lives here. Arif stepped back, his mind racing. This isn't real. It is more real than anything you have known. The figure stepped closer. Arif's back hit something, a door. He didn't turn, didn't need to, because he could feel it. It was different, cold, heavy, waiting. "You brought yourself here," the figure continued. "We only opened the way." Arif's breathing became shallow. "You're lying." But his voice lacked strength. "Then why can't you leave?" Silence. That single question crushed him. Because he didn't have an answer. Because deep down, he knew. The problem wasn't the house. It wasn't the doors. It wasn't even the figure. It was him. The room grew darker. The doors slowly began to close, one by one. The trapped faces disappearing, but their eyes still visible in the darkness, still watching, still waiting. Arif's chest tightened. "What do you want from me?" he asked. The figure stopped, just a few steps away now, close enough to feel, close enough to matter. "Accept it," the voice whispered. "Accept what you are." Arif's brows tightened immediately. "No." "Then you will remain." The words echoed, final, heavy, unavoidable. The ground beneath him cracked slightly, a deep sound rising from below, like something massive was moving, waking. Arif looked down. The crack spread, darkness leaking through, and from inside, hands, more hands, reaching up, grabbing, pulling. Arif stumbled away in panic. "No, no, no!" He ran again, without direction, without plan, only instinct, only fear. The room shifted behind him, the doors rearranging, the space changing, trying to trap him, trying to keep him. The figure didn't chase, it didn't need to, because everywhere he ran, the house followed. Because the truth was simple, he wasn't running through the house anymore, he was running inside it. And the house was alive. Arif ran blindly through the corridor. Every step seemed longer than the last. Every turn brought more doors, more shadows, more whispers. "Stay. You belong here." The voices screamed now, louder, overlapping, confusing, inside his head. He pressed forward, ignoring the cold, the fear, the pain in his legs. The corridor twisted unnaturally, walls bending, doors opening suddenly in front of him, some slamming shut, barely missing his face. Hands reached out from cracks in the walls, trying to grab him. Arif ducked, jumped, stumbled, heart pounding, lungs burning. He turned a corner and saw it. A single door at the end, different from the rest, light glowing faintly from the edges. Hope surged. He sprinted, faster than ever. The voices screamed in protest. The shadows surged, pulling at his clothes, his arms, even his hair. But he ignored them. The figure, still behind him, he didn't look. He couldn't. All that mattered was that door. Step after step. Closer, closer, closer. Finally, he reached it. Fingers wrapped around the handle. Cold, smooth, inviting. He pulled. Click. The door opened. Light burst through. Blinding, warm, safe. Arif ran through and fell onto the ground, gasping, breathing heavily, his body shaking. Relief, real relief, flooded him. The corridor behind him disappeared. He was outside, morning sun warming his skin, birds chirping in the distance. The road was familiar, the village, everything normal. It felt real. Arif looked back. The house, the endless corridor, the shadows, gone. Just the empty field where the gate once stood. He whispered, I'm free. But deep down, something told him it wasn't over. That night, Arif sat in his room, the world outside quiet, the moonlight spilling softly through the window. His heart still raced, his mind replaying everything. He told himself it was a dream, just a dream. But then he heard it, soft, barely a whisper. Arif. He froze. The blood drained from his face. The air in the room shifted, heavy, cold. He turned slowly, and there it was, a shadow in the corner, shaped like a door, forming, growing, watching, waiting. Come back. The voice was calm now, not screaming, not panicked, patient, unstoppable. Arif wanted to move, run, hide, but his body refused, because the truth hit him. The door was never gone. It had followed him. It existed wherever he was. The corridor, the house, the shadows, the whispers, they weren't physical. They were inside him, inside his mind, part of him, his fears, his regrets, his choices, his memories. And now they were awake. The shadow grew taller, the whispers grew louder, not outside, but inside, every heartbeat, every breath. You opened the door. You cannot leave. You belong here. Arif sank to his knees, his head in his hands. He tried to fight it. Not again! But he couldn't, because the house, the corridors, the figure, the doors, they were not a place. They were him. The story had never ended. It had never been about escape. It had always been about acceptance. Acceptance of the darkness inside him, the part he tried to hide, the part he feared. And now it waited, patient, unavoidable. Come back. The shadow slowly dissolved into the darkness, but its presence lingered, inside Arif's mind, inside his chest. The whisper continued, soft, unending, and the story never ended, because the door was never closed, and it would never be. Not really, not ever.